So you remember how you had to vote for the Democrats because of abortion and democracy and all that? Well, guess what? Right in your face. They're pissing right in your face. Okay? You're a chump if you still vote Democrat thinking they give a shit about you or abortion or your minimum wage or ending the wars. They want more wars. Or giving you health care. It's over. The Democratic Party is 100% corrupt. Do you need more proof? There he is standing. That's the governor of New York. Also going to try to appoint this judge who's an anti-abortion judge. That's almost the least of it. That's almost the least of it. What's wrong with this guy? But they said that was the biggest thing, and people still hate me. They blame me for abortion, but they don't blame the Democrats who appoint these people. The Democrats like Chuck Schumer who fast-tracked Trump's judges. The Democrats who didn't fight to get their Supreme Court nominee on the Supreme Court because they made a miscalculation and thought they could use it to get Hillary elected, and then they did it. And here they're doing it. Progressive, that's, by the way, this is the new leader of the Democrats in the House. And nobody, but not one person, and he hates the progressives. He hates lefty ideas. He's a right-wing conservative Wall Street tool. And he's proud of it. He's not ashamed of it. He's proud of it. And nobody launched a challenge to him, his leadership of the Democrats in the House. Nobody. There's supposed to be 100 people in the Progressive Caucus. Not one of them challenged him. Representative Jayapal didn't. AOC didn't. Jamal Bowman. Ro Khanna. Nobody challenged him. Why is he the leader? I have to explain this to people, how you get to be a leader in Congress. You don't get to be a leader because you're actually a leader. This guy is not a fucking leader. The reason why Hakeem Jeffries is quote unquote the leader is because he's the most corrupted. He's the biggest criminal in the House. And it happens to be a black guy. See, Martin Luther King would be proud that the biggest, most corrupt piece of shit criminal liar in the House is a black guy. And that's how he gets to become the leader of the Democrats. Because Wall Street, all the corporations, big pharma, healthcare, fossil fuel companies, oil companies, they know who the biggest corruptible piece of shit is, and they give him the most money, just like they give Chuck Schumer the most money in the Senate, which is why he's the leader, and they also give Mitch McConnell the most money in the Senate, which is why he's their leader, just like McCarthy is the speaker in the House now, not because he's a leader, but because he takes the most money from corporations. And then why does that make them leader, Jimmy? Because they then take that money and they then give it to their colleagues so they can go get reelected, and then they owe them a favor, and that favor is vote for me as leader because I'll give you more money next time because I get the most money from Wall Street. That's how this works. That's why he's the leader. That's why she's the governor.
Hakeem Jeffries literally created a PAC that was designed to fundraise against progressive primary challengers. So his primary concern was to help corporate right-wing Democrats defeat progressives. But this is the guy that all the progressives lined up and voted for with no ask whatsoever. In fact, Jamal Bowman, when asked about Hakeem Jeffries and his nomination as minority speaker, he said that would be gangster to have him in leadership. That's how much the progressives sold out.
That would be gangster.
That would be gangster.
Why? Because he's from New York. So progressives and labor leaders see the pick as a betrayal. They pick this judge. They see it as a betrayal. Well, welcome to the club. I've felt betrayed by the Democrats since at least 1996. Progressives and labor leaders see the pick as a betrayal. Progressives and labor leaders have their head up their fucking asses if they see this as a betrayal and they didn't see it coming. This isn't a betrayal. They told you they were going to do this. You fucking assholes. Stop donating and voting for Democrats. Stop doing that. Now that's something a lot of people don't have the courage to do, which is why our country's going to shit. You're not going to hear David Sirota tell you to stop donating and voting for Democrats. You're not going to hear Crystal Ball at Breaking Points tell you to stop voting and donating to Democrats. She's going to tell you to keep donating to them. She's going to tell you to keep voting for them. And then she's going to act upset when things don't go right. It's the new mainstream. Some reluctant allies are regretting their decision. So they feel betrayed after many within their ranks worked to deliver vital last-minute votes to Hochul during the final frantic days of last. So all these people went out and worked their asses off to make sure that Democrat got elected as the governor. And then she turns around and fucks the unions right in the front. Some allies are regretting their decision. Just some of them? Just some of them are regretting their decision? Just some of them. That's crazy that only some of them are. By the way, this is a story from Common Dreams, which is a great outlet. I made a donation to them today. I encourage you to. She promised us that we would have a seat at the table, Jimmy Mahoney, the president of the statewide Iron Workers Union, said at the state capitol on Monday. Jimmy Mahoney, how long have you been in union politics? When was the last time a Democratic politician didn't fucking lie to you? Is this your first election, Jim? First election? You didn't see this coming? Said at the state capitol on Monday as labor leaders rallied against the nomination. She put us on the menu. This is not right. The way it was rolled out, it was so unprofessional and backstabbing. I completely sympathize with Jimmy Mahoney, the president of the statewide Ironworkers Union. I completely sympathize with you. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? Because I have a feeling you're not going to do fucking anything.
Yep.
And I have a feeling you're going to fucking tell people to vote for her next time after she lies to you again. You didn't see this coming. Jeffries, however, voiced his support. So this is the new leader of the Democrats in the House. Hakeem Jeffries voiced his support for the judge, saying LaSalle is, this is right after those same Democrats broke the railroad workers strike.
Mm-hmm.
This is right after they did that. Now they're coming out and they're supporting an anti-worker, anti-union judge. Those same goddamn Democrats. Didn't see this coming, though. Jeffrey said he voiced support for the judge, saying LaSalle is a highly qualified to serve as the chief. He's highly qualified. So who cares? What do you mean qualified? I mean, he went to law school? That's what you mean? He's highly qualified, period, full stop. What? That's not the point. Jeffries urged an up or down vote by the full state Senate. Listen to this garbage, Nick. He goes, it's important for the entire New York State Senate to treat this nomination with the same dignity, decency, and respect that every other nomination has received. Let me ask you a question, Hakeem. Why? Why is it important? Why is it important that the New York State Senate treat this union fucking busting, anti-worker, anti-women, anti-women's choice, anti-poor people? Why is it important that he be treated with dignity, decency, and respect, just like why is that important? Why is that important? You know what's important is that you challenge that piece of shit. That's what's important, and that you expose him and tell the truth, and you call out the Democratic governor of New York for wanting to appoint that guy. That's what's actually important. This isn't. This is him trying. This is a virtue signal. Look,
this is how they weaponize.
Go ahead.
This is how they weaponize civility politics. They want everyone to be nice. Don't call out the corrupt judge. That's being mean. You're being divisive. It is saying when anyone have a question over who should be speaker, a role that has giant consequence. If you don't fall in line, you're rude. You're causing chaos. This is the language that the working class should completely reject. Civility is used to protect power. But go ahead, Jimmy.
That's perfectly said. That's exactly right. That's exactly what AOC said when we challenged her on Forced to Vote.
Oh, they're the biggest weaponizers of it. Absolutely, yeah. Jimmy.
Yes. They said that our words were violence, right? Instead of what they actually were classic organizing 101. It's only been a few months since Roe versus Wade was overturned, and Hakeem Jeffries one of the most prominent and powerful Democrats in the country, is spending his time and energy stumping for an anti-abortion judge.
Wow.
Of course.
Well said, law boy. Tim Schafer says there's this thing in the Democratic Party where they will absolutely bend over backwards for dudes like LaSalle with no justification beyond he deserves the job for reasons. That's what happens when you So this is my favorite. That's what happens, meaning them completely betraying what they promised you in the campaign and stabbing you in the front. That's what happens when they sincerely believe that no one will make you face consequences for your actions. Because the Democrats never make the Democratic Party pay consequences for their act. I mean, Democratic voters. Bernie Sanders started it. He set the example of not making the Democratic establishment pay a price for lying and cheating to their own voters when he rolled over after they cheated him in the 2016 primary and never made them pay a price or even reform. And same thing in same thing they did to him in 2020, and here we are. They couldn't even count. They couldn't figure out how to count votes in Iowa. I don't know if you remember that. And they had to do a coin flip. And Pierre Buttigieg won, not Bernie. And Bernie didn't make them pay a price for any of that. And this is the result of that. This is the result of Bernie's failure of leadership. You could draw a direct line to this happening to Bernie rolling over for the establishment since 2016. Direct line. And so now here they are. They know they can do this. Bernie's not even going to say a goddamn word about it. He didn't say anything when they fast-tracked Trump's judges.
Exactly.
So this is what a politician does when they sincerely believe that there's going to be no consequences to them being a right-wing bullshitter, because that's what Hakeem Jeffries is. He's not a left-winger. He's a right-winger. He's a black guy who's a right-winger and an authoritarian who knows the words of democracy and wokeness, and that's all he knows is the words. And they've been doing this for years. This isn't new. Yep. Hillary Clinton picked Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine was ardently against abortion. Obama promised to sign the Freedom of Choice Act on day one. He hasn't touched the issue. He never did it. That would have codified abortion rights into law. Barack Obama promised to do it. He didn't do it. Promised to do it. Didn't do it. Said it would be the first thing he did. He said it would be the first thing he did when he was giving his speech to the women's groups. Said it would be the first thing, and he didn't do anything. Never did it. That's why the Republican right-wing Supreme Court was able to overturn Roe v. Wade, because Barack Obama. Those of us who witnessed Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer stumping for an anti-abortion candidate in a Texas Democratic primary last year are about as far from surprised as it is possible to be. So that's why I would ask that those labor union leaders, our friend Jimmy, these people aren't surprised. Why are you? You just see what they did to the railroad workers? And I'm not saying the Republican Party is any better. I'm saying the Democrats and the Republicans serve the same people. You need another option, Jimmy.
Yes.
So, like, how about you organize your union workers to go on strike or something? So glad the insanely corrupt Pelosi picked her corrupt successor and everyone just went along with it. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And now you got guys like Kyle Kalinske and Cenk Uygur telling you to vote harder for Democrats. Keep voting and be nicer. They want you to be nicer to them and vote harder. Someone, and this here, Nick, I want you to answer these questions. Someone explain why LaSalle, this right-wing judge, is so important to the Democratic governor of New York. So important that she has to pull out all the stops to get this guy in. Honestly, I want to hear why they are so all in on this. What gives that they have picked this fight? Nick, why? Why would they do this?
People don't understand how class loyal the entire ruling class is. So you guys see how he's an anti-choice, anti-labor judge. Yeah. So the quote unquote apparent disagreement on there being anti-choice means nothing as long as the judge is anti-labor.
That's right.
They don't care. They don't care about anything else. They would be more opposed if this was a pro-labor person and he was pro-choice. I wish the working class had the same kind of class loyalty than the ruling class does. So that's why Chuck Schumer made a deal to fast track judges with Mitch McConnell, because they don't have any real disagreements with the judges. They're just pretending. They're just virtue signaling. The ruling class don't care about abortion. They don't care about the culture wars that you guys care about. They care about the bottom line. Who's going to side with corporations? Who's going to help our bottom line? Who's going to be loyal? And this judge, I guarantee, was a good boy his entire career.
Yes.
So he's being reported right now. So they all got the memo. Hey, this guy ruled in the way we want. He ruled in favor of the corporations and the police state. So now you giving them the job. And it doesn't matter if they're a Democrat or Republican, they will follow this order. That's why we have to have a militant approach towards leaving the Democratic Party. Because you see the progressives, Jimmy, where they're like, oh my God, I can't believe we were betrayed. I can't believe Hakeem Jeffries and Democrats misled us. Of course they understood this. Just like Pramila Jayapal, their job is to show up at the end and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we lost. Oops, sorry, we had the wrong strategy. No, their job is to lose on purpose.
That's right.
For the party. Their job is to be a weak, ineffective left. It's not a coincidence. It is exactly by design.
Jesse SL says opposition to the appointment of this judge is based on a review of Justice LaSalle's record, including decisions he made in cases limiting the rights of people of color, women, workers, people who are accused of crimes, and people who are incarcerated, and people who are immigrants. Sounds like a Trumper judge. Turns out it's a Democratic judge. Because there is no difference between Democrats and Republicans. Hope that helps. Everybody, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles in January and February in Los Angeles. And then we're going to Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets and become a premium member while you're there.